Hey girl, hey! Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. So I think I'd like to kind of talk about, oops, sorry. I don't have my tripod with me in the car, and my phone holder in the car only holds it the other way. So I'm gonna try to hold it and see how this works. We'll see. So I kind of want to talk about trauma. Actually, that is literally how what I really want to talk about throughout most of my stuff is trauma. Because I want to talk about my trauma, work through my trauma. And because I don't feel like, especially in the Black community, we do not talk about stuff. We just act like it doesn't happen. We sweep it under the rug, or you don't tell your business to anybody and all of those things. And I feel like as we get to know like development and things like that, we realize how toxic that actually is. So I'm just gonna start with one of the biggest, heaviest things for me, and that is mom trauma. So in December of 2023, I decided to message my mom and tell her I was not coming over for Christmas, and that I wasn't coming over to Christmas. And so I messaged her and I texted her. I ended up texting her instead of calling her because I didn't want to get talked out of it or guilt tripped into it or anything like that. And so I have been no contact with my mom since December 2023. It is October 2024. Okay, so I text my mom, told her I wasn't coming to Christmas, and then I blocked her. Right? Because that's what I do. No, I blocked her because I did not want to change my mind. I knew that it was the best decision for me at that time. I have been on this journey of becoming the best version of myself. And one of the things that I noticed last year was that every time I talked about going, okay, it's not just Christmas, it was the whole year, but Christmas was the catalyst for me. But so every time I thought about going to Christmas, I was nauseous, it just didn't feel right. And so I'm Marco Poloing my cousin about it. I'm talking about it, and I'm like, next year I won't go to Christmas. And he's like, okay, well, what's the difference between this year and next year? I didn't want to hurt mom. I didn't want to disappoint mom. I didn't want to whatever. And as I've been working through in therapy, little Devin is still afraid of my mom. And it's crazy how that can still be a thing even at 30 plus years old. It's because I didn't heal that trauma, work through that trauma, but I have been. And what I realized is I needed to take a pause. So I went no contact and told her that I wasn't coming, blocked her because I didn't want to chicken out and actually go. And so then I unblocked her a few months later. And then I decided, I love my mom. Me taking this no contact route was not because I didn't love mom. No, I love my mom a lot. I just am learning to love myself a little more. And it feels, at times when I say that, it feels really bad. And also, I figured out that, I figured this out because I have been no contact and I've watched my brother. You know, I remember saying to him, you can't love mom more. You can't love her into healthiness or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically I said the best way to love mom is to love yourself, because then you'll able to step back and like love her in a completely different way, in a way where you're not sacrificing yourself, because him and I both do that. We both sacrifice ourselves because of the love and fear that we have for mom. When they talk about fight, flight, or freeze, I am unfortunately one that fawns. So I need to get in a little tiny ball, and I just am fearful. And I am in a constant state of anxiety and analyzing situations and not realizing, okay, is this a good, whoopsies. And, this is a hot mess. Okay, so I kind of moved my phone, so this might be a little bit of a better situation. We'll see. Yeah, so let me also pause before I go in any further. Let me pause and say that this may, to a lot of people, sound like, no, let me not say it like that. Talking about anything that has to do with my past is really hard, because it's not just me that I'm going to be talking about. And unfortunately, there are going to be some negative things that are said about people. And I don't want it to be, I'm always just so worried about making sure that I don't put anybody in any kind of negative light. And also, here's the truth of the matter is like, we're all in a negative light. I'm in a negative light. They're in a negative light. I'm not going to just act like I'm not just as whatever. So, all right. So now with that being said, also, these are the things that I remember and how I remember them and the way that they have shaped me to be the person that I am today. So, all right, so going back, I fight, flight, freeze. I'm the fawner. I curl in a little ball. I'm in a constant state of anxiety. I worry about, oh my goodness, y'all, I can move my hands. We'll see if this actually works. I'm in a constant state of anxiety because I don't know what mood I'm gonna get from my mom. And then I ended up with, towards the end especially, a husband, now ex-husband, that I didn't know what version of him I was gonna get, and it reactivated some mom stuff. And yeah, and unfortunately for me, my mom was abusive. A lot of people call it discipline, but the punishment did not fit the crime. Like 95, I really wanted to say 98% of the time, but I'm gonna go ahead and say 98% of the time, the punishment did not fit the crime. And also, yes, so, and so my mom was extremely abusive, and my mom was abusive until I was probably, no, I know the exact age. It's just shameful on my part to share it out loud. And then also feels really bad to say out loud in regards to her. I was 21 when my mom was still hitting me as discipline. And it took at the time, it was my boyfriend who became my husband and my pastor to help me see that, yeah, no, I don't have to actually keep putting up with that I'm an adult. And our relationship got even rockier after that point, because there were no other ways that she could control me. She had kicked me out. It was all these things. And I say kick me out. I was 21. I should have probably been out anyway. But I was working and I was going to school. So it wasn't like I was just like laying up at home doing nothing. And I was taking care of my brother. So anyway, that was a little backstory. There's gonna obviously be more videos about mom. But these are the harder ones, which is like what I really wanted to talk about, but it's so hard, y'all. Like, it's so hard. Okay, anyway, Christmas went no contact. And it took my cousin reminding me. He was like, if your nephew was with his abuser, like, you wouldn't tell him to keep going back. And then I like cried because I'm like, oh my God, my mom is like my abuser. And like, I love her. And also, no. And then when she stopped physically when she stopped physically assaulting me, she would psychologically assault me. And let me rephrase this and say I allowed it. And I allowed it because I didn't know any better. And I started to notice that it was not a productive way for my life and the conversations we were having and the way I was feeling after the conversations. And I just didn't like it. That version of me was just, I can't even explain it, but I did not like it. So, I started texting her. So going back, I started texting her, telling her that I love her randomly. And, and so we've been doing that all this year. And the holidays are coming up. And so that is like reactivating some of that trauma. And something possessed me, I believe it was God. God put it on my heart to call my mom in like mid-September. So I called her. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to tell her that I loved her. Like not face to face, but like verbally instead of text message. And she was like asking me, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah. And the only way that I was able to do that was because I had the boyfriend with me and it was a phone call, and it was the first time I had talked to her since probably November of 2023. And it was a lot. In the conversation, I had to remind myself that I had to breathe. I was driving. So I had to like focus as well. So I couldn't but I could feel the things inside of me. Her voice, when her tone of voice, you guys, you know what I'm talking about. That voice that she's starting to maybe guilt trip you a little bit, or, manipulate a situation a little bit. And maybe none of that is true, but that is what I have experienced in the past. And so those old experiences resurfaced in my brain. And so those are the things that I felt and I definitely felt them, and I was really good. She said she wanted to unpack stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm not really ready. Like, we can unpack it sometime, but I'm not really ready to unpack it right now. And she was like, well, good. I'm glad you said that. I really, really like to unpack things and blah, blah, blah. And in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, and so when I do unpack it, what exactly am I unpacking? Do we like want to talk about all the trauma? No, not really. What good is that going to do? Not with her, at least. Me processing the trauma out loud, like through these videos, is different, because I'm processing them in the way that I need to process them so that I can be the best version of me. So yeah, mom trauma. And that's just like a tiny little minuscule situation of some of the stuff that I have been working on to become Devin. And you know, it's I guess I'm gonna go ahead and just mention it. She messaged me and asked if we could meet sometime and to talk, and I was extremely anxious about that. I waited to respond, and I didn't make myself feel like I had to respond like right away. I waited to respond, and I responded in the way as an adult. And you guys, for some of you, it's probably like, yeah, of course that's what you do. But for some of us, it's really not that simple. It's really not that simple. And I think I also am afraid to share some of this stuff for fear of judgment, that like, some of you all are going to be on here like, it's really not that big of a deal, just blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, no, but you really don't understand. It's like paralyzing sometimes for me. And I'm working on it, but it's a lot. So we are going to be meeting up. Oh, but let me also say that I did some things. I reached out to my support. I talked about it. I talked about what I would want to say, like how I would want to respond, all of that. And also, I said I would like to go somewhere neutral. I don't want to go to her house, and I don't want her to come to mine. I want it to be in public. Not that I feel that anything will pop off or anything like that, but it gives me an out. And then also in therapy, I worked through the fact that I have a choice to leave. And sometimes little Devin forgets that we're not that person anymore, and that we're grown, and that we do have a choice, because I didn't have a choice when the things were happening to me when I was younger. Those things, I didn't have a choice. I had to just deal with it. But now I don't have to deal with it. If at any point I feel uncomfortable, I have basically a safety plan put in place. I have my contacts, my supports who are on alert, and if I need an out, I have outs. I have multiple outs. And I'm extremely thankful. I'm thankful for the fact that I'm even willing to have this conversation with her. I handled this, and like the fact that I've been doing the work to be able to have this conversation is a blessing all in itself. So, yeah, so I'm going to meet with my mom after being no contact with her for not a very long time. And maybe other people have been no contact longer, and I'm sure that's a thing. I would like a relationship with my mom. I don't know what that would look like. You know, my therapist asked me, what do you need from your mom at this age? What would that look like? And I'm like, honestly, I don't need anything from her anymore. I don't. I'm literally doing just fine without her. I miss the idea of a relationship with my mom. No, because I don't want to say I miss the relationship. I miss having a relationship with my mom, because what I had wasn't a relationship. It was surface. I mean, like, when I say surface, I mean like surface, just barely touches the skin of it. So, yeah, wish me luck. Here goes nothing. I'm sure I will dig deeper now that I have officially put it out there. I'm sure that I will dig deeper and just speak on some of the experiences. Not because I want to, ooh, this person did whatever, but like speak on it, speak on how it affected me. And then also like kind of like, this is my like, let it go, let it go. No, I can't sing. like a let it go, like this is like my little journal type thing, kind of. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm excited that I finally am just like, you know what, let's do this, let's get it out there, let's just talk about it, because that is actually, the mom stuff is like the whole reason I have been apprehensive about posting my real stuff that I really want to talk about on YouTube, because on my channel, so whatever social media it ends up on, but just for fear, because little Devin is still afraid. And so one of the things that I plan on doing over the next couple of days before I meet with her is to kind of like write a letter to little Devin and tell her that she is okay and that she is safe. When I was on the phone with my mom, after I got off the phone with her, like, sorry, I reminded myself that I was safe and that I was okay. Now, I sobbed after that conversation, but I had the boyfriend here. I was fine. It was a lot. It was like pressure built up that just like exploded out from tears. So I just have to remind myself and use my coping skills and use my you know, my different things that I have in place, and we'll see how this goes. So yeah, I hope you followed, because I know I can go all over the place and I like come back to stuff and you're like, did she ever finish that story? Yeah, imagine talking to me in real life. Sometimes it's a hot ass mess. Anyway, y'all, sometimes life is rough, and all we got to do is just keep trucking along and keep encouraging. You get courage by encouraging. And so the easier, the harder, something will get easier the more you do it. And the harder it feels, the more you are stretching your comfort zone, and you're growing into the person that you're meant to be. So, with all that being said, remember, you are beautiful, you are amazing, and you are enough. Bye.